Greetings, fellow travelers. Welcome on in. This is the 183rd level of the RPG Cave. I am one of your hosts, the level 199 human Dark Lord, Ryan Terford, and I am joined, as always, by the level 199 elf battle alchemist, Dr. Garret Bland. How's it going, Garret?
Dr. Garret Bland is doing very well. And Ryan, I feel like the heavens are shining upon me with this light over here in the corner. It is so sunny here. It's like every day, like you go out and it's like sun is about to burn you alive. It's just all the UVs. It's not like hot, but like, man, dude, just better wear some sunscreen out here.
I was gonna say that's how I feel like just going in the sun any day.
Just any day.
It's just like the sun is just gonna burn me alive. Oh, dude, I went out and picked up some stuff from the corner store yesterday, and when I went outside, like the sun was so blinding, like I could barely see outside. Like I was.
You need some sunglasses. That's what you need.
That's why I wear a hat though. But even the hat wasn't good enough. The sun was so like bright that like I legitimately could barely see. Like even with sunglasses, it would be really bad.
I got prescription sunglasses about a couple years ago, and they've been a lifesaver for driving around and just being outside in general. Because I don't want to be blinded, and I just need to be covered up everywhere in sunscreen. That's just how I am. And then just return to my dark role-playing game cave, away from the sun, basically.
Exactly. Even though your cave is very much still bright, as we can see in your little diagram there. I mean, one of these days it's going to be interesting when you move and you have like a nice like section that's not like super bright behind you.
Oh, it's gonna have a bookshelf behind me. We're gonna do a lot of display here. I got a lot of things from still at my parents' place, and so I have to ship that over. It was funny because I shipped that from Pittsburgh to Dallas, and a lot of things broke just because I didn't pack it very well. So we'll see how this shipment goes from Dallas to here. So
I was gonna say bubble wrap is your friend. You gotta use bubble wrap.
I did bubble wrap. It just some things did not make it.
Oh, like the FedEx driver just like yeeted it onto the truck or something? Like,
yeah, pretty much. I like capitalized fragile, and it didn't matter.
That's usually how that works. They have to have like a specific flat fragile sticker on it, or they just don't pay attention.
They just don't. Yeah, they don't get it. But anyways, how you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. First of all, I'm excited because we've got a big week coming up, Garret. Swanch 2, we got E3, aka Summer Game Fest this week, and a bunch of other, stuff on Carpool. So it's going to be a busy, but also super fun week this week.
Everyone's getting ready for that new Game Boy that's just coming out.
Exactly, the newest in the line of Nintendo's Game Boy series, the Nintendo Switch 2.
And can't wait.
Yeah. Although, just throwing it out there, they added some, Game Boy and Game Boy Advance icons to Nintendo Switch Online this week.
Nice.
Garret. So I made sure, of course, to get the pink Game Boy Advance as my new icon on Switch Online.
Rebecca was sad because there was no lime green Game Boy Color.
Yeah, they didn't do all the colors. They did a lot of the colors, but not all the colors.
So all of those colors and those icons, they existed in physical form? Oh, wow.
Dude, there were so many different variations of both the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. It's ridiculous. They did 20 of them, and there's still more that they left out.
Isn't that so 90s? That was a very 90s thing to let's just go wacky. All the colors. Let's go very lime green. Let's go translucent purple.
Well, it's a very Japan thing. I don't know if it's a very 90s thing because we still kind of get that with a lot of the special edition consoles that they get that we don't get here in America.
I wish I can get a lime green. Well, we can get lime green Joy-Cons, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, they're highlighted yellow, not lime green. But anyways.
Yeah. This is the RPG Cave where I swear we talk about role-playing games sometimes. But
sometimes.
Before we talk about role-playing games and Garrett's things, of course, we first got to, clear the dungeon so we can get to the raid boss as quickly as possible. And now strap yourselves in, especially you, Garret. Lots of housekeeping this week. So bear with me for a second here. So number one, the Switch 1, or the Switch 1, is, it's coming to an end. We're doing the farewell party today if you're watching the live stream right now. So after this live stream ends, we will be continuing to play Switch One games, maybe some ARMS, maybe some Mario Kart, maybe some Smash, maybe some Splatoon. You want to keep watching here on Twitch if you're watching on twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live right now. But that's not all, Garrett. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Nay, nay.
Oh, no.
Switch 2 is releasing on June 5th. I don't know if you knew this, but it's happening.
Oh, that's what's happening June 5th.
Yeah, I know.
That's what. Oh, okay.
That's the thing that's happening on Thursday.
Right.
So, of course, we are throwing a big party for the Switch 2. So please join us as we throw blue shells in Mario Kart World all day on June 5th. I know Sean's going to his quote-unquote midnight launch. It's midnight Eastern time, so it's 10 p.m. his time to go pick up his Switch 2. So he's going to be streaming as soon as he gets home. And then, of course, we'll be streaming throughout the day. Although, Garrett, I'll probably be sitting there watching because Amazon updated my order, and they're like, you're not getting your Switch until next Thursday.
Oh, my
goodness. Not this Thursday coming up, the following Thursday. But I get my Pro Controller and my carrying case and screen protector on Thursday this week.
Well, I'm glad you can look at your accessories while you wait for your console.
I mean, hell, my GameCube controller will actually probably arrive before my Switch 2.
That's interesting. I never had like a push delayed on Amazon on a specific date. Like it always says, okay, you're going to get a delay. But not like, oh, you're going to get delayed for a week.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, Amazon does this all the time, but I literally live 30 minutes from where they ship from, and it'll probably be here on the actual release date.
I thought you were
unless
about
it
to
ships late or something.
I thought you were about to say you're about to break in and just figure out where your
if
package
only.
is.
No, actually, if I was worried about it, I would probably just keep it as a backup order, but then like walk into EB Games that morning because they have like walk-in stock in the morning, and so does Walmart. And like there's a Walmart down the street from my house. So.
There was a recent thing with EB Games. What was it that someone bought GameStop Canada?
Yeah, so GameStop actually sold GameStop Canada specifically to an independent Quebec company. And then they've kind of rebranded it back to EB Games using kind of the old EB Games logos.
Interesting.
And so they're running the company now. It's now completely separated from GameStop. So I would imagine they're going to make some major changes for the better probably soon, because especially after what we're seeing with GameStop now, where they just bought Bitcoin, like, dude.
I don't, GameStop. I don't try to pay attention to their business model. It's just nonsensical. But yeah, okay, interesting. So when you go to a EB Games, does it still say EB Games or GameStop or? Well,
they haven't changed all the signs yet over. They probably, because this just happened like a month ago. So, but if you go to the EB Games website, it's now EB Games, and it's all switched over there, which is funny because Sean was talking about how he pre-ordered his console at GameStop, and it's now an EB Games. So, like, the place he pre-ordered his console doesn't exist anymore.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know how the system works because it's all GameStop systems, and then they transferred that over.
Yeah, but I mean, I've got some stuff pre-ordered with them, so I'm sure it'll be fine. Because they haven't canceled any pre-orders or anything. They
Sounds good.
They'll honor anything any pre-orders that GameStop had set up. So.
Yeah, I understand that, but that sounds like a technical like transfer of stuff, a nightmare. So I don't know.
Yeah, 100%. Anyways, let's keep going through this, Garrett, because there's more. Of course, Summer Game Fest is happening this weekend. Of course, we're giving our predictions today, but we will also be live reacting to all the showcases on June 6th through 9th. Be sure to tune in over at twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live. We'll be live reacting to the Summer Game Fest showcase, all the indie showcases on the Saturday, Xbox on Sunday, and then if there's a Nintendo Direct, we'll react to that as well. So all the things. So you'll want to stay tuned all weekend over at twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live. And during the downtime, Garrett, we might stream some Switch 2. I might be planning a certain Magic the Gathering unboxing stream Saturday night after all the showcases are over. So you're going to want to head on over to twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live for more.
Are you going to have a camera that faces the cards and you're just going to be revealing one by one? I love it.
Yeah. Because I have two cameras. So I'll have like the camera on me and the camera pointing at the cards.
So I watch a YouTube channel. I forgot what it's called, but he basically just reveals Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
Like he opens packs and the packs are like, the prices are like, it can be like $100, and then you open it up and see which cards you get, and it can go a dud. Like they could be, less than $1 each, or one could be like worth thousands of dollars. It's like pretty interesting, pretty entertaining. So
I was gonna say, because there's I was watching a streamer last night, and they opened some Final Fantasy stuff, and they opened the special like green traveling chocobo, and
nice.
that I'm looking it up right now. As far as the prices on eBay, what they're going for, because the normal card goes for about $100. Then the next special version is about $150. But the special green version, I don't think they've posted it yet. But that's probably going to be like a $500 to $700 card, because they are only producing like a certain number of them. Because if you remember before, Garrett, we talked about the chocobo cards where they had like different color chocobos, and depending on the color, they're more and more rare, up to the shiny gold chocobo, which is like 99, only 99 of them are made. So, yeah.
Do they do Magic the Gathering people grade their cards at all?
Sometimes.
Okay, it's not like a common thing though.
It's not as common. Like it's not as common as Pokemon, but you still see it, especially with some like very valuable cards.
Pokemon's crazy. It's like every rare Pokemon card is like, yeah, we're gonna grade this. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just put in a fixated plastic, not being used at all, not being held. It's
I like playing cards, getting cards to play, Garrett, not to keep in a case. But anyways, I have to continue because there's more stuff here.
Oh my gosh.
We're excited, of course, to kickstart our fundraising for Extra Life 2025 as well. For the first time ever, we will be offering early bird prizes, including Summer Game Fest merch, in an Extra Life DualSense controller, and some Xbox game codes. All donations now through June 9th are eligible. So all you got to do is go over to the Extra Life page, donate, and as long as you donate between now and June 9th, or again, if you donated but prior to this as well already, you are eligible for the drawings, and of course, we'll draw them on Monday. So don't forget to go donate over at extra-life.org/participant/carpool gaming. The link will be in the description of this podcast as well. Also, of course, Garrett, so much Patreon content this week. Let me tell you what. Please be excited. Of course, Fee's episode of the Pants Patreon podcast for Patrons podcast has been out this week. My episode of the Pants Patreon podcast for Patrons podcast comes out tomorrow. And Garrett,
yes,
I believe,
I think I'm next week.
if memory serves, your question post will go up on Monday for Garrett's episode.
Yes, get ready.
So your episode will be out this week. So please be excited for that.
Please be excited.
Yep. We the Gamercast with Rybo, of course, came to the Patreon last week, so make sure to go check that out as well. We also have a brand new episode of Campfire with Seth, Bowza, Mitch, and Lockliff. You can go check that out now as well. Plus, this week, there's so much Patreon stuff, Garrett. Of course, again, you're getting my Pants episode tomorrow. Then on Monday, the very first episode of the Carpool Gaming movie podcast is part of the Real podcast. We'll be launching on Monday with my review of Final Destination Bloodlines. So it's an hour of me talking about that movie. I'm so excited for y'all to hear that. And then on Tuesday, we got a new episode of Sweet Hangs with Sean and Donnie. On Wednesday, the newest episode of the Mini Indie Van with a certain someone will be out this week. And then, of course, the Nintendo Drive post show on Friday. And then Garrett's episode of Pants on Sunday. So look at that. Look at that. Look at so much stuff.
So much content. So much good content. Almost daily content.
Almost daily content. Almost every single day. Well, Garrett, if you include the show's early access on Patreon, it is actually pretty much stuff every single day this week.
That's pretty good value.
Yeah.
That's pretty good stuff.
And last thing I want to touch on, of course, we got merch over at carpoolgaming.com. But I do want to throw out, one piece of, things for this show for next week. This show will not have a live episode next week. We are doing a pre-recorded episode. And by we, I mean me. Hi, Ryan Herbert. I'm doing a pre-recorded episode of the RPG Cave for next week. Final Fantasy Cross Magic the Gathering, Garrett. I don't know if you knew this. coming
never
out this
heard of it.
weekend. So I'm going to do an episode where I'm going to talk about the cards, some of my favorite cards from the set, what are I think some of the more flavorable cards, and just overall just what I think about the set altogether, and what I'm excited to build. So make sure to look for that. The video for that will come out usually at the same time as the live recording, and then it'll go on Patreon and free feeds at the same time as usual.
Cool.
So next week. So be advised that, since Summer Game Fest is happening this week, we're obviously not doing a live show. So look out for the pre-recorded show instead. And also, originally I was going to do, Garrett, I was going to rank all of the legendary creatures, the commanders for the set. But then I looked and I was like, oh, there's 162 of them. And that would take
Too
5
many.
hours. So
Too many.
I'm not doing that.
Good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So with all that out of the way, Garrett, it's now time for your things. Please tell me about it.
Yes. Okay. Let's just go through the things pretty briskly because we're quite a bit into the episode. But here we go. First thing, Ryan, are you a big Star Wars nerd? I keep forgetting.
I like Star Wars, but I'm more
I'm
of
not
a
her.
Star Wars fan through the games than the movies.
Okay.
If that makes
Cool.
sense.
Cool.
Like I like
No.
the original trilogy, and I like some of the movies, but I'm not like over the moon for Star Wars.
I just finished Andor season 2, and it's so good. It's just probably one of the best shows I've watched. So if you like Star Wars Rogue One or Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, you would love Andor. That you don't have to be a really deep Star Wars fan. You would just love that show in general. So been really obsessed over that. So I basically went through, rewatched season 1, did season 2, and then it leads right up to a Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. So all of that
Nice.
was a great package.
Fully
So
agrees. She also likes Andor as well.
It's so good. And then I was looking into, just like, oh, what other show do I need to watch after this? What can I do? And then I looked in and saw there's a new Star Wars animated show called Tales of the Underworld. Of course, written by Dave Filoni. He's always the animated Star Wars guy. So he just did Bad Batch and Star Wars Clone Wars and Rebels. So looks like this is his next venture. Tales of the Underworld leads off with different characters during the Empire time again. So I'm getting into it, man. The Star Wars nerdom's real.
It's taking over. It's taking over.
I think I'm gonna have to play, Battlefront 2. I'm gonna have to play. I have to catch up with Jedi Survivor. All that stuff. So I'm
Now,
a huge
question
Star Wars-
for you, Garrett, because during CPG days, of course, we of course drew movies for the movie podcast, and we drew a bunch of Star Wars movies. Is your Star Wars nerdum high enough to want to join some of those podcasts?
Oh,
Talk
for
about
sure.
Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. Is it all classic Star Wars in there, or is it
So
more than-
it's a mixed bag of Star Wars movies. Let me tell you what, Garrett. And I mean, there's no stopping us if we wanted to just do all the movies. That's fine too. But we got Star Wars Episode 1, Star Wars Episode
Oh my
2,
gosh.
Star Wars Episode 4,
Why?
Star Wars Episode 6, Star Wars Episode 9, and Rogue One.
Okay, I don't know if I can do 2 and 9. Those are bad. Those are like trash.
Come on, the sand, it gets everywhere, Garrett.
It really does. I'll do Rogue One. I just watched it, and
Okay.
it's probably still my favorite Star Wars movie. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about 2 and 9. The rest are okay. The rest are good. So
Interesting. Cool.
okay. So next thing, major thing that I've done this last weekend, went to the Nintendo store in San Francisco. Yeah.
I'm excited to hear about this.
So we went into the city Sunday, took the little ferry across the bay. It was super fun. And then we waited in line for our time slot at 3:30. And we went through. It's in Union Square of San Francisco. Very common shopping area. There's a bunch of different shops around there. And you go in. It's 2 stories. And so you got a level floor, and then you got one, like a kind of a basement downstairs. You go in, it opens up, of course, with Mario and Mario things. And then, of course, San Francisco Nintendo branded shirts and water bottles. That was super cool. And then the next major presence on that floor is Animal Crossing. and Animal Crossing is pretty big in this store. It's probably a fourth of the store display is Animal Crossing. Very cute things in there. So you got like miniature figures, you got, of course, your cups and your shirts. You got your Dodo ready to fly blue, eagle shirt. You got the bomber jacket. There was a bunch of cool cookware as well. Very cute baking dishes with the little, the little cartoon or logo or whatever speckled upon on the ceramic. Very cute. You go downstairs and there's a bunch of different things. So you got Splatoon was pretty big in there. Bunch of shirts and plushies. Of course, Zelda is down there. And there is, it's small, but it's there, a Metroid section.
Yes, of course.
It's like one little cubby.
I knew they had something because they have the water bottle, which I've seen. But I'm curious to know what else was there.
There's water bottle, there's hats, and then there's shirts. I think that's pretty much I could think of off the top of my head.
I didn't expect there would be too much, but it's fine. At least at least there's some representation. I'm like, not every Nintendo franchise gets represented in the store. Like, for God's sakes, there's no balloon fight section probably in the store.
No balloon fight section, no.
Yeah.
There's a big Pokemon section, of course, and then you got Pikmin. There is a Pikmin section that excuse me, down there. Excuse me. So to my surprise, there is no Fire Emblem and no Xenoblade at like 0.
Interesting.
Like there wasn't even there's some items that kind of mix together in franchises, whether nothing about Fire Emblem or Xenoblade. Just nothing.
Kind of makes sense though, because like I don't think I've ever seen Nintendo official merch for either of those franchises. As far as like, other than a couple things in like the My Nintendo rewards, like physical rewards, I don't think I've ever seen like them make a Fire Emblem shirt or make like a Xenoblade shirt. In fact, I think that probably explains why I see so many of those on like the Yeti, the website where content creators will make their own shirts. Because I see like all kinds of Xenoblade and Fire Emblem stuff there. But I don't think I've ever seen Nintendo put some of that stuff out, which is weird to me.
Yeah, well, that's just, I mean, they just want to get stuff that sells, so I understand. To the typical consumer, not even the Nintendo fan, but, just your average Joe.
But how many average Joes are buying Metroid stuff, Garrett?
I'm telling you, it's a very small section, but yeah, I guess some people are looking into it. Yeah. Overall, pretty cool story. They had a promotion going on in Union Square. It's like a big park about the Pikmin mobile game. They nonstop talking about this Pikmin mobile game, man. They're really pushing hard on this. So
they really just want you to collect all the Pikmin, Garrett.
And I didn't realize Niantic had an office in the Ferry Building of San Francisco. I was like going through the Ferry Building. It's like, yeah, Niantic Inc. like on the sign right here. I'm like, that's interesting. But anyways, okay, so Nintendo Store visit, thing number 2.
Nice.
Let's just go through these real quick. GeForce Now on Steam Deck. I tried it out. It's good. How about that? It's good. I only did the free version. It's really tough to get into the free like live stream kind of play sessions with the free version. So if you're going for it, get the upgraded versions. And then last 2 things, still going through Bravely Default. I'm about 30 hours in, and I'm very slow this game. I'm like at a snail's pace. I'm going back and forth and backtracking because there's a lot of backtracking involved with the side quests. But one thing I did learn, and I don't know if I knew this before, but you can turn the encounter rate to 0.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so that makes it so much easier to backtrack.
The downside, of course, to that is like if you do turn it down to 0 and leave it on for too long, you just won't earn enough XP to be able to do, stuff in other battles. But it's good if you're like going back, revisiting like old areas with like enemies that don't really reward you with stuff anyways.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm doing. I'm just turning it to 0 so I can go to like the first or second town relatively quickly. So
yeah. Speaking of Bravely Default, just I'm going to throw it out there.
Sure.
As a thing, Gary, as a little tease. I might be playing this game soon when the Switch 2 comes out. So please be excited.
That would be cool. Super cool. All right.
Maybe when I finish it and you finish this, maybe we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we could do it.
We haven't talked about this yet on screen. I'm just throwing this out there now.
Yeah. A spoiler cast, that would be super cool.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to mention, I am playing Expedition 33, of course. I'm in Act 2 now, so I'm after the first part. And I completely missed a mechanic in a game.
Interesting.
that I should have realized it from the beginning. And so I opened up the menu, and there's this thing called Lumina points. And it says 0 out of 30 on my character. I'm like, I have no idea what this is. And it's like, click the left stick button. And I'm like, okay, left stick. It opens a tutorial on what Lumina points are. It basically gives you more it's enhancements or powers on your characters. I honestly thought this game was super hard. I was struggling. It felt like Dark Souls to me. And then I opened this up. I'm like, oh, this is why and so after I added those Lumina points into my characters, it's pretty easy.
Oh my God, Garrett. That's amazing. I love that. Like, it's so easy probably because the menus are probably so cluttered that it's just like, you probably it's so easy to skip over a mechanic like that, like a level.
Yeah, it was like kind of in the middle right of your character screen, and it just didn't tell you to like go after. Maybe I skipped it, maybe it didn't, or whatever. But anyways, it's a much easier or much more manageable, I would say, game now versus before. I actually went through some. There's some side bosses that are deliberately more difficult. They're much more harder to get through, and I did it without those Lumina points, and I was like, man, how did people get through these bosses? Like, because some of them took me like 10 or 15 tries to get through them. But anyways, I'm doing well with Expedition 33. It's a good game. Man. Good game. Yeah. So
maybe one day I'll play that game. We'll see.
Maybe
we'll find out.
Well, once I get close to the end, you can probably play it in a week, and we can do a spoiler cast.
Please, I'm not Kevin Ainsworth. Who do you think I am?
Sorry, 10 days. I'll give you 10 days to get through it. It's not a long game. Not a long game.
That's true. I'm too busy living my best life over here, Garrett. I beat Golden Axe 2 the other night. And I'm having a good time over here.
It sounds like a fantastic time.
Yeah. But anyways, Garrett.
We're
going to now read from the sacred texts. I had a little side quest, but I'm going to drop it. We're going to just jump right into the meat of the podcast, Garrett, because this is what everyone's here to hear about, Garrett. Of course, E3 is coming up this week. Even though I know it's not called E3 anymore, it's called Summer Game Fest. I'm still calling it E3.
Call it E3. Call it what it is. Yeah.
Exactly. I can't, not call something what it's actually called, Garrett. So. Of course, we're going to give our predictions for what's going to happen during E3/Summer Game Fest this year. And as well, we asked the community, and y'all gave us a lot of ideas as well. So we'll talk about that after we give our predictions as well. But Garrett, I didn't want to use a prediction that I already used this year. So it actually, made me want to go back. And they did this on Xbox Drive last night as well. So I'm just going to throw it out there. I totally copied Xbox Drive with that idea. But,
okay. No, totally fine.
So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly go through the predictions we made at the beginning of the year for this year. And then of course, we'll talk about that a little bit and then get into our predictions from now to see if anything's changed, Garrett. So first off, Garrett, let's go through your predictions so far this year. So you said Dragon Quest XII gets its first gameplay showcase at a Switch 2 Direct sometime this year.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
I mean, it still hasn't happened yet. It still could.
It hasn't happened. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. These next ones, though, are going to be interesting because next one, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake will be announced at the Xbox Summer Showcase specifically. It's coming out this summer. And it's released on PS5 and Switch 2 sometime down the road after launch. Is what you said.
Okay. Well, we now know what the result of that is.
Yeah, we do. During the podcast, what was interesting, Garrett, is you didn't want to just say that it was coming, because we already knew it was coming because it had been leaked ahead of time. But that's why you put like the specificity on this as to like when it's coming, when it's going to get announced, and when it's coming out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I was definitely off.
Yeah, because
And-
originally we talked about it on the show, where originally you thought it was going to be. You remember how Xbox did the developer direct at the beginning of the year, and they had a fourth mystery game. You were so convinced it was the fourth mystery game, and it was just going to shadow drop that day. But then I actually ended up talking you out of it because we heard from Jeds Corden that it was going to be a Japanese franchise. So, and which of course it ended up being Ninja Gaiden 4. So,
so he was right.
yeah. So we got you partially there, Garrett, but not all the way.
Not
And
all the
then
way.
your other prediction, Garrett, was that Assassin's Creed Shadows was going to be a really fantastic game, is going to be critically beloved, and it would have an open critic score of 89 or higher, is what you said.
Yes.
And I had 81. So, I mean, you're not too far off.
I mean, it was a lot of people liked it. So
Yeah.
that's good.
That's what I mean. It's like in the realm of what you were talking about, it was just like, because you had to quantify it, like that's why it was a bit lower than I think it ended up being. But.
For sure.
And then here are mine, of course. Before year's end, the next mainline Fire Emblem game is announced for 2026.
We'll see. Maybe. It's a good chance later this year. Yeah.
Like, I think, like, either at this next Direct that's coming up or, like, the final Direct of the year, they will announce some stuff for next year.
Is the
And-
next Direct like August sometime, you think?
Well, the next Direct could be next week.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Jeff Grubb
See-
seems to think it's next week.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. That's the thing. Part of me, like, because I know I was talking with Seth about this, because Seth was like, well, Nintendo typically doesn't do a Nintendo Direct like right after the console comes out, but they also typically don't release the console the week of Summer Game Fest. And I feel as though they want to kind of set up the rest of the year sooner rather than later. So if it's not this month, I think it'll be July. Like, I think it'll be like, because they want to get it out there, because I think they have more stuff coming even in August that they probably want to get out there. So.
No, I think, maybe they're holding some cards in for the winter, the winter holiday time.
Well, even that, they still have to date, Metroid Prime 4 and some other stuff. So,
Oh, yeah, they didn't date Metroid Prime. That's insane to me.
we at least have the Pokemon Legends release date now, because that just came out
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Prime 4 and some other stuff. The Kirby Air Riders doesn't have a release date either, but it's also set for this year. So that's why I think like sooner rather than later they'll have their next Direct. So
Sounds good.
But otherwise, we also know Nintendo is participating in Summer Game Fest, so they will also probably have announcements during Jeff Keighley's show if they don't have a Direct. So
Yeah, that's true. I
that's
saw
possible too. So, but yeah, anyways, next one I had was the fourth mystery game at the Xbox Developer Direct is the next game in the Tales of series, which did not happen. I still think that gets announced this year, but just not at the Xbox Developer Direct.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, I still think that might be an Xbox Showcase game. Is the next?
I think so
Tales of
too.
game.
Yeah, the Xbox really likes to show off third party in Game Pass, not Game Pass. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
And the last Tales of game, like Tales of Arise, had Xbox marketing attached to it. Not only, and it was announced in an Xbox Showcase. Not only that, but it's been 5 years since Tales of Arise. So I think it's time for a brand new.
I can't
game.
believe it's been 5 years since that game came out.
It came out. God, it came out the first year of like the PlayStation 5 and the Series X. Yeah.
I can't believe it's been that long since the Series X and PlayStation 5. Yeah, I feel like time just flies by. I think, and also it's the console progression is much slower these days. I feel like our consoles are still very relevant, very new, but 5 years is a long time. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and especially because like they already had the engine ready to go and everything for whatever the next game was. But then they also might be focusing on more Tales of remasters, because we do know they have the Tales of Remaster project, as we talked about a few weeks ago, where they're remastering a bunch of Tales games. So maybe that delays when the next Tales of game happens, but I still think it's probably this year, even though I'm going to get it wrong on the predictions sheet. But last but not least, Garrett, my final prediction for this year was a Chrono Trigger port of the Steam version of Chrono Trigger will be ported to console sometime this year.
It could happen.
Could still happen at this point. Because my argument was, well, the Pixel remasters were literally just the Steam ports of those versions of the game, but with slight tweaks to them. And I think Chrono Trigger, they might just do the same way, rather than doing like a remake of Chrono Trigger. But
yeah, sounds good.
Anyways, those are our predictions so far this year. I think we only did 3 at the start of the year, but Garrett, we decided 5 E3 predictions.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going all out this year. We don't get to do this very often. So let's get into this. Garrett, would you like to go first or second? And also, we're still going to, for the listeners out there, we're going to be assigning points to these, and we'll go over who's the winner and the loser of the predictions when we come back from Summer Game Fest. But we're going to do the 1 point system like we did before. Just FYI. So, cool. Garrett, would you like to go first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay.
And get through it. This one, I want to be a little bit more specific because we know it's inevitable.
Yeah.
The Xbox or Bethesda will announce Fallout 3 remake. I think they want to announce this. The Oblivion one was cute to do a shadow drop. I'm like, okay, yeah, you can do a shadow drop, and it took. I think it benefited from their end. I still don't like it just inherently. It's just a concept of a shadow drop just because it just disrupts my gameplay. It's just like, oh, do I have to drop this in order to play that? That's what everyone else is doing. Yeah. So I think they'll announce Fallout 3 remake. I think it's going to be set for November. Let me give you an exact date, Ryan.
Oh, you're going specific with this now.
Yeah.
Do you want this to count against you, or do you want bonus points if you nail the date, Garrett?
Let's just do bonus points for this one. I'll say November 14th.
Okay.
Friday, November 14th. Yeah. And then it's going to be, of course, on Game Pass. It's going to be on PS5 and PC. I think it's just going to be all 3. And, of course, it's going to precede or right before the release of the second season of the Fallout TV show. Yeah. I think they'll... So you could do Fallout New Vegas, and that could be relevant to the show.
I was going to say, that's more relevant to the show than 3 would be.
I understand that, but I think Fallout 3 remake, I think just the sequel-wise, or just like kind of chronologically, it just kind of makes sense to do Fallout 3 remake first, get you in the mindset of Fallout in general, and then you can get into the show. So I think Fallout 3 remake is a more appropriate first announcement, and I don't think you do both at the same time. So yeah, that's my prediction, Ryan.
That's a good prediction. Now for Fallout, I'm curious about this, and I'm not going to count this against you. But like, do you think it's a full remake, or do you think it's more like Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, like the remaster that they did with that?
I think it's gonna be more Elder Scrolls Oblivion, type of style.
That's what I was thinking too. Like more of just like almost like a fancy remaster.
I think they asked Virtuos like, hey, you did great with Oblivion. Let's do this rinse and repeat on Fallout 3, and let's go through that. Just
gonna throw it out there. Yarden in the chat gives you 10 points because he really wants this.
Yeah, I really want this too. So
me too. Honestly, I would love to play Fallout 3 again.
So what's the points on these, Ryan?
Oh, we're just doing 1 point.
We're doing 1 point.
We're not doing the betting thing.
Cool. I'm great. Yeah. I'm good with that. So
yeah, it's only to keep it consistent with our the predictions we did at the beginning of the year, I think.
Cool.
So,
sounds good.
All right. So my first prediction, I'm gonna get one of my 2 softballs out of the way right now, Garrett.
Okay.
Metaphor ReFantazio and Persona 3 Reload are both announced for Switch 2, coming in August and September specifically. So Persona 3 Reload will come out in August. Metaphor ReFantazio will come out on Switch in September.
Okay, so 2 separate dates.
Yeah, they're going to come out on 2 separate dates, but they're going to announce them basically both over the course of the weekend.
Okay.
Like it's Summer Game Fest. Like I expect like they'll almost do like a back-to-back trailer kind of thing to announce both of these.
Okay.
Or even during, if there is a Nintendo Direct, it'll be there.
Yeah. I think it will be a Summer Games Fest thing. And just seeing the Nintendo like partnership type of deal in there. I think you're right. I think it's just some sort of collaboration, third party support involved, and it definitely makes sense with Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor to head over to Switch 2 because Atlas been holding them back. They ain't on Switch 1 right now, so.
Well, those games, like, again, the reason they weren't on Switch 1 was because they wouldn't have been able to run on Switch 1. Maybe Reload you probably could have made run on Switch 1, but definitely not Metaphor. Like, Metaphor, like, barely runs on, Series S or on Steam Deck. Like, I should say barely runs, but it's not, amazing.
I made it work on my Steam Deck.
But I'm just saying, like, you made it work on Steam Deck, but like imagine trying to run that same version on Switch 1.
Oh boy, that would be rough.
Yeah.
But
like the big cityscapes and stuff, like it would be hard to do with Switch 1. So I can see why they held it back. But I definitely think like both these games are coming to Switch 2 this year. 100%. Yeah. I
can see both games coming to Switch 2 this year as well. I don't know if they should be farther apart. That's one thing. I don't know how they release it over the course of next year. I just think they're going to want to get it out before Grand Theft Auto comes out next year, because we're going to see that as a pattern with a lot of developers this year, Garrett, where like if there's anything that was like had a chance of coming out next year, Garrett, but could come out this year, it's going to come out this year because of Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, honestly, I could see Metaphor holding that until Metaphor Fantastic Edition. Yes. In 2 years. Oh my god. Or next year. With a Re-Fantastico edition. Yeah, the I could totally see them just waiting for that. Yeah. But yeah, no, good stuff. I'm gonna take a stab at the Persona announcements as well. That's another. I knew you would. I did not take the one that everyone's been talking about, but you're more than welcome to do so, Garrett. So I wanted to collectively put them all together because they definitely have some sort of Persona strategy. Yeah. At the Summer Games Fest, I think we kind of know what's going to happen with some of these, but let me go through. I have 3 different things. Okay. 3 things. You're going to have a Persona 4 remake announced at the Xbox Showcase. I think this is pretty given at this point. Enough voice actors have talked about it where it's like, it's coming. And plus we saw the game get rated, and the review, like the ratings boards don't rate fake games or games that are really far away. Yes. So I think it'll be announced at the Xbox Showcase still. I think they'll have marketing rights for it. It's going to be released November 7th, Friday, November 7th. It's going to be for Switch 2, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and PC. And it's not going to be a day one Game Pass. I don't think they're getting the money back for this one this time around. I think maybe down the road, like they did with Metaphor, maybe 6 months, 5 months down the road, they'll put it on Game Pass, but it's not going to be that. So that's my first one, of course. Second one, it's so same thing. Persona 3 Reload will be announced for Switch 2 at Summer Games Fest. And then the third thing, Persona 5 Royal. Persona 5 Royal will have a Switch 2 SKU, and it's going to be full price. You're not going to have a $10 upgrade. It's going to be the same thing as PlayStation 4 to 5 and also Shin Megami Tensei 5, and that was 5 Vengeance, but I was going to say, because we have 5 Vengeance and Persona 5 Royal on Switch 1, so I'm very surprised to hear that there's going to be a Switch 2 version of those games. Persona, I think this is the Atlas way, though, because they did this with 5 Royal. Yeah, they did. And it was, even though it was a PS5 version, there was no upgrade path at all. Yeah. So this will definitely be a Switch 2 SKU, Persona 5 Royal, full price. And yeah, that's it. Yarden can't buy any more copies of the game. You're going to buy one more. We've tapped out Yarden. So, I'm in the same boat where it's just like, even as much as I love Persona 5 Royal, I'm probably not buying it again. Yeah, I think I'm good. I have it on. I actually have it physically in the Steelbook edition on PS4, and I'm like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that.
I'm actually considering double dipping for Persona 3 Reload on Switch 2. Like, that's one I could conceivably see myself double dipping on. But the rest of them probably not.
I can see Reload going away from Game Pass, and I would like to have it somewhere in like a copy. So
yeah,
Switch 2 could be down the road for me as well.
Well, hasn't it left Game Pass already? I thought it was only going to be there for a year.
No, it's still in there.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I know the DLC, like that expired.
Hold on, let me check. Persona. Well, it expired, but if you got it, if you like.
Oh no, I meant like you can't claim it anymore.
You can't claim it. Yeah. Persona 3 Reload Game Pass. Still on Game Pass? Okay. I'll look it up later, but I never saw it leaving. At least I know that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember them mentioning that it was only going to be there for a year. So,
okay.
But I could be wrong.
If it was announced it was going to be leaving, I would be playing the DLC right now. That's what I would be doing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I still really want to play that DLC.
Mm-hmm.
But I just
episode, I guess,
and it is still included in Gamecast. It's still there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyways, that's my prediction
That's
number 2.
That's a good set of predictions, Garrett. Again, I
Mm-hmm.
think we're definitely going to see Atlas again for sure.
Yes, definitely.
This weekend. So, I also think too, like, and we might get into this later, but like, I think they have other stuff to announce outside of this stuff too. So, but anyways, I'm gonna get my second kind of like gimme out of the way. Like this one, I'm like, I think the stars are aligning for this to finally happen this year. And I alluded to it on last week's show where I'm like, how the heck has this not happened already yet? Because this is the only set of Final Fantasy games that you can't play on modern platforms. But Final Fantasy 13 finally gets a collection on all platforms launching this August. Square Enix, we know, is there. They like to put out these collections. They do very well for them, and they usually put them up for pretty cheap. And this will be a collection of the 3 Final Fantasy 13 games, which, again, currently are the only Final Fantasy games not available on modern platforms. Plus, again, this year is like Final Fantasy's big anniversary. It makes sense for this to finally be the year where it's like, okay, we're going to finally complete the collection and get all the Final Fantasy games on all the platforms this year.
I don't know if this is a gimme, Ryan. I don't like...
It's a gimme in comparison to the rest of these, because wait till I tell you the rest of my predictions, Garrett. This is going to be fun.
Sounds good. Yeah, for this one, I don't know. It could be 50-50 for me. I think this could totally make sense, but at the same time, it totally makes sense not happening at all. Just because, I mean, like, yeah, I just don't know with Square Enix. I don't know what their expectations are. I don't know how their remakes are going to go. Because, the big rumor is Final Fantasy 9 remake is up next. So, yeah, it's just a wait and see, I think, at this point with 13 and those collection of games. But, yeah, good. I would love it. I would love to have it. Yeah, for sure.
Again, those games are definitely going to come at some point. Like, they have to. They have to. Come on, Square. Like, those are the only Final Fantasy games I don't have on, like, Switch at this point. You know?
Yeah, true.
Like, I'm waiting. I want to hang out with Lightning again. Please, just let me.
All right.
Garrett, next prediction, my friend.
Prediction number 3. And I don't know if this will ever come to fruition, but I just want to try to, bring it forward. Of course, we have all these collections going on. I think those next collection makes the most sense, but we're not sure Capcom will do it. Breath of Fire collection. And so I don't know, like, I was looking into the games for Breath of Fire. There is there's 6 of them, but I think the 6th one is like a mobile game or whatever. The first 2 are really classic, so for sure you get 1 and 2. 3, 4, and 5, it looks like it's like PlayStation 2. So I imagine them. I don't know if they would split into 2 or just put them all in one. Knowing Capcom, the way they operate, it's more like they broke down Mega Man quite a bit. TMNT is Konami. I would say they'll split into 2, Breath of Fire 1, 2, and 3, and then Volume 2 would be 4 and 5. So this one, the first one would be 1, 2, and 3, I think.
Interesting.
So they'll announce that, I think.
That's
we'll see.
an interesting one because like the Breath of Fire games are on Switch Online, or at least a couple
They
of them
are.
are. So I'm curious if they would actually do that. I would love that because like Breath of Fire is like one of those franchises that I'm surprised Capcom has never gone back to, other than to do mobile games. Like
Yeah, the mobile game
I
just
think,
came out.
because I think like they, especially now that Expedition 33 has come out, Garrett, and we've had stuff like Persona and Metaphor, like I think the time is right for other companies to kind of get in on the turn-based action again. And Breath of Fire is one of those franchises that I think Capcom could do a good job with.
Yeah, and Capcom doesn't have any turn-based stuff. It's all action-oriented, so it would be interesting for them to go back into the Breath of Fire well.
Yeah.
I have not been really familiar with the franchise at all, just because, I wasn't into RPGs back then, and then it just kind of died out before I got into those. So,
and we know Capcom is like experimenting with older franchises again as well. Like we're seeing that with Onimusha right now. We know there's a new Okami game coming at some point. So they're dipping into the well a lot. So I could definitely see them going down this road.
Yeah, they like to do smaller projects now, like the Kinitsugami. Yeah, so.
But I still think like my only a collection, they can just release them at any time, especially because they're going to run out of fighting game collections they can probably put out. But I think like their next like set of games, like the old franchises that they revisit, is actually probably going to be Dino Crisis and some other stuff, especially after the survey they did, where it was like overwhelmingly the most popular game on there. I also think that the door is open for a new Beautiful Joe game. Now that we've got the new Clover Studios that's there at Capcom. So I think there's like a bunch of different options they can go to as well outside of Breath of Fire. But that's an interesting one. I would love to see it.
I would love to see it too. So that was my third prediction.
Nice. Well, here's my third prediction. Get ready for this one, Garrett, because I think this will be interesting. Now, Ubisoft famously is said been on record saying, "Oh, the Mario Rabbids games haven't done well. We don't really see ourselves going back to this." So, my next prediction is Nintendo will announce, because they're all about RPGs now, a non-Rabbids Mario strategy role-playing game announced for early 2026.
Okay.
Where they're going to ditch the Rabbids because it doesn't sound like Ubisoft wants to be involved anymore. But it sounds like, but I think Nintendo probably is still like down to continue to explore this idea of like a strategy role-playing game with the Mario characters. So I think they'll separate themselves from the Rabbids and kind of do their own Mario strategy role-playing game.
That would be cool. Yeah. That would be really cool to do. So do you think it would just be only Mario inside this strategy game?
Or do you think like it'll be Mario characters? Because I think they like without them having the Rabbids around, Garrett, I think it gives them more room to like flesh out other Mario characters that they couldn't do in the Rabbids version.
Okay. And which studio do you think would go for this?
Could be any number of studios. I mean, it could be Camelot, could be some other
Intelligent Systems, probably.
Yeah, it could be Intelligent Systems, could be any other Nintendo studio, if I'm being honest. Or they could contract someone to do this. But they could even contract, Ubisoft to make this if they wanted to, but I don't think they're going to go down that road. I think they're going to kind of keep this separate. Like whatever happens with the Mario Rabbids franchise at this point, Garrett, I don't think Ubisoft is going to be involved with it. So
no, I don't think so either. So
I think if we're getting another one of these styles of games, it'll come from Nintendo first party. So it could be Intelligence. In fact, you know what? I'm going to say Intelligent Systems. They're going to do this.
Yeah.
Especially because Intelligent Systems, even though they're working on the next Fire Emblem game, they also have like 5 different studio projects all the time they're always working on.
Yeah, they do simultaneous projects all the time. So, okay, cool. Yeah. I would love it. I would love that would inch me closer to getting a Switch 2. So
that also feels like too. It's like, and I think we're going to see this more when we get more games announced for the Switch 2. But I think like they're going to try and tap into that Switch One nostalgia a little bit, where like they're going to tap into some of the franchises that were really big or synonymous with Switch One, and like the Mario Rabbids, turn-based strategy role-playing games were pretty synonymous with Switch One's launch. So I could see them really kind of leaning into that to make this kind of happen next year.
No, I would be down. I would be down for it.
Yeah.
So, prediction number 4. Witcher. I know it's a little bit of ways away for both the 4 and remake, but I think they will reveal a little bit more on the remake side of things on the Xbox Showcase. We know it's being developed by another studio that is spinned off from CD Projekt Red. It's going to be on modified Unreal Engine. We've already seen Witcher. Honestly, I would, even though maybe Witcher 4 is a little bit more farther along, I think that comes out later than Witcher Remake. I think so.
Yeah, I would imagine Witcher 4 comes out much later.
Yeah, so I think it would be nice to just like rehash, like, hey, Witcher's still here. Here's the let's announcement trailer for Witcher Remake, and then they're just gonna go through kind of their spiel over there. Yeah. I don't think they'll do a release date. Maybe they'll pull off a 2026, and that's pretty much it for that.
Yeah, at like Jeff's showcase, they could easily just do what they did with Witcher 4, where they just have like a cinematic trailer, just basically reminding people that it exists. And if they're brave enough, they put a 2026 on it.
Yeah, that's yeah. So there you go. That's my prediction number 4.
That's a good one. I keep forgetting that Witcher remake is coming. But
it's coming. People say it's not as far along as Witcher 4, and like the development is pretty close, hand on hand, because they want to, just do some technical development for both games at the same time, help each other out. But it just makes so much more sense to do the Witcher remake, release that first, than have Witcher 4 come out with a bang. So yeah, that's what I. And of course, Xbox is always buddy with CD Projekt Red. So
yeah,
that will be definitely on the Xbox Showcase.
Nice. Well, speaking of the Xbox Showcase, Garrett.
Yes.
I have a Japanese announcement that I would be really excited to see at the Xbox Showcase. So I'm going to try and will this into existence, but I also think it's realistic that it could happen. Or at least if it's going to happen at Xbox. Because we know Sega and Atlas have a good relationship with
We know them. Yep.
And it's not Persona, Garrett.
Not Persona.
Not Shin Megami Tensei.
Oh, I know this one.
An Atlas published game. Vanillaware will announce its next game at the Xbox Showcase. It's a brand new IP. It will be an action RPG.
Oh, okay.
And it'll come out. There won't be a release date, but I imagine it's probably a next year thing if there is a release date. But I mean, we had Unicorn Overlord that came out last year, but Vanillaware is one of those teams, Garrett, that likes to have like 2 projects going at the same time, and they usually their releases are only usually 2 or 3 years apart from each other. We saw that with 13 Sentinels and Odin's Sphere, and then of course last year's Unicorn Overlord. So I suspect by like next year they're ready to go with whatever their next game is. And also they also like to announce their games pretty far ahead of time as well. So I think that this is the time now where we get Vanillaware's next exciting game. They'll show us something that looks really awesome, that's hand-drawn, maybe something like Dragon's Crown or Muramasa. That's kind of what I'm picturing in my head with what their next game is going to be. And that's, yeah. I mean, it could also be like Dragon's Crown 2. They talked about how they wanted to do that for forever. They wanted to do a sequel to Dragon's Crown, but it just hasn't happened yet. So, but I think I think their next game is going to still be a new IP. And it'll come out probably next year. It'll be announced at Xbox.
Do you think this will be day one Game Pass? That's the question.
Yes.
I think this could be a day one Game Pass. I think they can grab that money. And I also think for on Xbox's benefit, it diversifies the portfolio in there. But also, if they're really leaning towards handheld initiatives, this would be a great handheld game to advertise for. I think it just makes sense with Vanillaware's games to be more handheld driven than anything else. So I think this could work out for sure.
And I think like they're trying to like I think they want to do like they want to diversify even their own portfolio by moving away even for one game from their strategy RPG formula from their last two games and do something different with it. So I think they kind of we've heard from some interviews and stuff that they want to do like another action RPG. So I think that's actually probably what's next from them.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome.
There you go. I can't wait to see like whatever Vanillware's got next because after again 13 Sentinels and Unicorn Overlord, like dude, like Vanillaware is like becoming one of my favorite studios, and I can't wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, they do a good job. All right. Yeah.
Final prediction, Garrett.
Final prediction. You're gonna love this one, Ryan.
Oh, let's go! I can't wait.
Okay, Summer Games Fest. We know Square Enix still hasn't revealed their project game just yet, but
here we go.
We know it's coming. It's inevitable. Okay, so they're gonna announce Project Pentagon Defense Tower. Okay, we've done Octopath Traveler. We've done Triangle Strategy. Let's go in the middle. Let's do 5. Pentagon Defense Tower. It's a real-time strategy game where you have to defend 5 towers simultaneously. And that's the whole game. All right?
So it's not Triangle Strategy. It's Pentagon Defense Tower. Oh, my God.
Yes, it's not Octopath Traveler. It's not Triangle Strategy. It's Pentagon Defense Tower. And let me tell you, it's a defense tower game, but there's going to be a gripping story. It's going to be HT2D. It's going to have multiple levels, but it's all about those 5 towers that you're going to have to defend.
You got to defend them.
You got to defend them
in the Pentagon, or else.
And it's real time. So imagine Dewfield Chronicles, but more in a defense tower way than just covering the map, with your units. So that's
Garrett,
it.
That's probably one of the craziest predictions I've ever heard. But at the same time, I would love to see it, even though I hate tower defense games.
But for real, there's likely going to be a Project Square Enix game.
Oh, there probably will be because that's actually my final prediction.
Oh, okay.
Because Garrett, Project Octopath Traveler 3 is announced. It's coming 2026.
You think they're going to do a third one?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Again, I think they're trying to developers are trying to hit the nostalgia of the Switch 1 launch. And one of the biggest games from the Switch 1 launch window was Octopath Traveler. And I think they want to go back to the well and do a third one.
Yeah, I can imagine. I would still predict a new Project game than Octopath Traveler 3, but both can be possible for sure. But we both agree that there's going to be a Project game.
Yeah, 100% there's going to be. We know that the Dragon Quest Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD2D remake is not going to be the only HD2D game that's coming out soon. There will be another one.
Yeah, and probably next year, summer or early 2026, I would say. So
I just love calling it Project Octopath Traveler 3. Obviously, it's not going to be called that. It's just going to be Octopath Traveler 3. But I think they will go to this well one more time with Octopath Traveler with a third game.
I can understand that.
Yeah. Because I think even the second one, I think it sold well enough to warrant it.
Yeah, I forgot their reception on it. Of course, Square Enix they're always a bit disappointed with their sales.
Yeah.
And I think I remember the second one they mentioned it was weaker than they expected kind of deal. I don't know, something like that. But yeah. I can see a third one coming out. So
yeah, because likewise they'll get that Nintendo money probably from Nintendo publishing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm expecting here. But. All right, Garrett, those are all of our predictions. So we'll find out in a week from now, or I guess, this weekend, if any of them are correct. So please be excited. Please stay tuned for that. But Garrett, we also have a bunch of questions and predictions from the NPCs, the non-podcast characters. So let's get to them
get to them.
First off, Sean says, yes, hi, I have a question. And his question's for each of us specifically. So Sean says, Ryan, what Summer Game Fest RPG announcement would have you screaming unnatural utterances like you did at the Xbox event in Toronto a few years back? Which, of course, that happened when the Persona games came to Xbox, which, of course, I was very excited about. But also, again, we were getting a re-release of Persona 3 at the same time, and that's when they announced Metaphor as well. So I was so excited for that stuff. That's the context for it. So this might tie into this next one you're gonna answer with your question, Garrett. But dude, if Sega announced during Summer Game Fest that a new Shining Force game was coming out, like a new mainline one, I would freak the heck out. I would make unnatural noises. I would just jump out of my chair. Like, dude, I would not believe it. It's up there with a new Parasite Eve, a new Lunar game, a new Lufia game. Like there's a bunch of games that kind of fill in the blanks with this one. But Shining Force specifically is the one where it's like, I've been waiting for Sega to like acknowledge that series exists and to go back to Shining Force for like 25 years now. And they still haven't done it yet. And I've given out hope. And this would really, really get me in a big way.
I would love to see it. That would be cool. But
Garrett, Sean's question for you is, what game has Ryan recently made you play that you would love to see get a remaster or sequel announced at Summer Game Fest? And I guess that was 2 questions. Thanks. Love the show. We're all lucky to listen to it every week. Thanks for making the show. Well, thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Sean.
With the kind words.
Yeah.
But Garrett, what's the game that I made you play that you would love to see get a sequel or remaster?
I think some good candidates, but I think one that would really get me going is a new Parasite Eve game.
Oh, yes, Garrett. Yeah. My man.
That's such a good game.
Yeah.
It just reminds me so much of when I played Transistor because it's the same-ish gameplay.
Yeah.
And I love it. The horror setting. I love the story. I like the just the gameplay in general. Give me a Parasite Eve 3 or whatever it is going to be.
Dude, that'd be so freaking cool. I know it's up there because we talked about last week the idea of like remaking Zelda 2 would also be pretty exciting.
That would be cool.
I made you play some good games, Garrett. I can't. In fact,
that's true.
I'm like foaming at the mouth for the game that I'm gonna have you play after Cyberpunk. I can't wait for that game, for you to play that game and for us to talk about that. But I'm so excited for Cyberpunk. But there's one again. I have a special one lined up for it after it. So
probably a holiday game at this point.
Yeah, which I'm fine with.
Sounds good.
Next up, we got the good sir, who said, and he's following up from last week's show a little bit here. Who says, "Hey friends, so I got to talk about a couple of indie RPGs first and foremost. I'm really hoping we're getting a firm release date for Moonlighter 2, The Endless Vault, which is currently slated for summer of 2025. I'm also hoping to see an update to one of my most anticipated games of 2025, Witchbrook. Also, Where the Heck Is She? Dreams Elsewhere. This has to be the year it releases, right? As far as AAA side of things, I think we're finally going to get another look at The Elder Scrolls 6. I'm hoping it's more than just a CG trailer and we could actually get some kind of gameplay. Finally, my dream every year around this time, a Dark Cloud 3 announcement."
A lot of things.
Lots to unpack there.
Yeah. Let's start with the indies. Ryan, is there any of these 3 games, is there anything you're interested in?
Maybe Witchbrook. I'm interested in that one.
Witchbrook I'm very excited about, actually. It's like it looks very cool. It looks, on the crafty side of things, which I really enjoy. So,
yeah.
Super cool.
The other 2, I just don't know anything about Moonlighter 2. And She Dreams Elsewhere. I forgot that game even existed until I saw this question.
Yeah, Moonlighter 2, that seems like just a more 3D action-oriented game now. And then She Dreams Elsewhere, it's... it looked like a style of Undertale to me. Yeah. A little bit. So,
as for Elder Scrolls 6, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, the good sir, but I don't think this is going to be there at all. I think it's too soon.
I would predict not being there at all this year.
Yeah.
You won't hear it.
I would love to hear about it, but I think it's still I still think that game is not coming out until the launch of the PlayStation 6.
I think it'll be later. I think 2027 at the very earliest.
Well, that's
2028.
Yeah, that's around the time when we're expecting the new consoles to come out. So
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like that's what I mean. I think it's like launch window or like within the first year probably of whatever the next Xbox is, and then of course PlayStation 6.
Yeah, but I agree with you. You're not going to hear it this year.
Dark Cloud 3 would be interesting. That's the dream, but
again, there's hope with that.
Yeah.
Because I did hear from an interview with Shuhei Yoshida that Sony is interested in lending out smaller IP owned by Sony for other studios to work on if it makes sense. So if Level 5 comes in and is like, hey, we want to do this again, and if you help us out with funding, we'll make it worth your while, that type of deal. I mean, it could happen.
Yeah.
It's not a 0% chance.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I especially with what we've seen with Patapon, Loco Roco, and some of those other IPs, I could see them, especially like any of the
Freedom
Japan
Wars.
Studios one. Yeah, Freedom Wars. Yeah.
So.
I could see them doing that. Or at the very least, they might do like a Dark Cloud collection on other consoles, even.
That would be interesting too. But
yeah,
cool.
Cool. Well, before we move on, Garrett, I'm gonna grab this question from the chat. This comes to us from Adam David, who asks, "When are we all playing Cyberpunk?" Sometime soonish.
Sometime soon. I gotta finish Expedition 33, which will be before my vacation.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I would assume we don't start playing Cyberpunk because you and I are both playing Cyberpunk together. Not at the and it's not a co-op game obviously, but we're gonna play it around the same time. But I don't imagine that happens until after your vacation.
Yes, that's true, and that will be. I come back July 16th.
Yeah.
So it will be around that time, in the late July.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah, like we'll probably finish it by like
August.
End of August. Yeah.
End of August. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Next up, Yarden says, "Forget Persona 4 remake, Persona 6 tease, or we riot. It's time."
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
I would love to see it, but I don't think it's happening.
Yeah, they're really gonna double down on their Persona, older Persona games. I would imagine they would do Persona 6. I don't know, at the Tokyo Games Fest or something like that.
The Persona games they usually like to announce at their own event in Japan.
I see. Okay.
Or at the Persona concerts. That's common too.
Right, the Persona concerts.
Yeah, like they'll announce like side games, like or remakes or remasters, like Reload or Remake, which I think will get announced. Like whatever the moniker is for Persona 4's remake. Like we'll get that at Xbox probably. But mainline games they'd like to announce it in Japan. So yeah, okay. I think if we see it Persona 6 announced this year at all, it'll be later this year at like a Japanese event. Yeah. And then finally, Garrett, last question comes to us from Naga Hachaka, who says, "What RPG gem is finally getting announced for the Switch 2, and why is it near replicant version 1.22474487139 ? I'm sorry, I had to get the numbers in there. He wrote them out, so I had to say them.
What a name.
First of all, I don't know if near replicant actually comes to Switch 2. Maybe they do that. Maybe they don't. But they didn't put. Well, they put near.
They put near on Switch 1 much later too, and it works really well. It plays really well on Switch 1.
Yeah, maybe they do this at some point. But yeah, what do you think about Switch 2, Garrett? What RPG gem is finally getting announced for Switch 2?
There's so many RPGs. Like I imagine Bethesda will come in full force with Switch 2. I think. This is my prediction. This is not going to be at the Summer Games Fest. I think Xbox and Nintendo will have a major push on something releasing, and I think it'll coincide with Bethesda a lot of their games.
Yeah,
I can imagine Fallout games. I can imagine Starfield on Switch 2, all that stuff. So that's my prediction. Is the Bethesda the Bethesda era of RPGs heading to Switch 2.
Yeah, they could almost just release them kind of all like piecemeal,
piecemeal.
one a month for the rest of the year, kind of. Kind of like what they're doing with PlayStation, where they kind of just drip feed them all. And I already kind of said mine, but I think just the Atlas RPGs that are on other consoles that aren't on Switch will come.
Yep.
Like, I think those are the big ones. Honestly, I think a lot of the big third-party re-releases that are going to be announced for Switch aren't necessarily going to be role-playing games. It's going to be stuff like the Resident Evil remakes. I could see, THQ doing like the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy. Like, you're going to get a bunch of stuff like that. That's like non-role-playing games but are kind of ports from the other consoles.
Yeah, totally makes sense. We're going to have a lot of Switch 2 games, a lot of third-party announcements at this Summer Games Fest. So get ready for this holiday. I think it's going to be much quicker, right, than the Switch 1
I think so
porting
too.
over. Yeah, I think third party's ready.
Like I talked about with Grand Theft Auto, like they're going to like developers, if they can get stuff out this year, they're going to do everything in their power to get the games out this year, especially even if they're ports, especially because they'll just get buried.
Yeah, I imagine Rockstar going to do something with GTA. GTA 4 is like the big rumor. But I can totally see GTA 5 coming to Switch too.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like I can totally see that. Just so. Anyways, get ready.
Anyways, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the RPG Cave. But before we go, first off, we got to say thank you to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, starting with Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive. You can find his link tree music over at his link tree, linktr.ee/pme.jib. Rebecca Ruben-Navarro, and TechMike, who says, whether you're Kevesi or Agnian, you're a Xenobabe at heart. Links to all of our ultimate producers can always be found in the description of our podcast, so make sure to support them as they support us, and they're pretty awesome. Our platinum producers, Angel Patton, Peje, the Captain and Tim Paullin, and our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, Brad Moore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, John 32, Laura, Ligerwoods 330, Mr. Giggles, OldMrFrump, Patrice Mallette, Stephen Keller, and Tony Baker. Huge shout out once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. And if you want to hop in the car with us, head over there, choose the tier that's right for you. And now, Garrett, plugs go.
I hope you enjoyed that entertaining visual I had of my Steam Deck and Xbox.
I tried not to chuckle while you were doing that.
Yeah, did my part. You can follow me at Blue Sky at Bland Explosion. You can also find me on the Discord. I'm reading every single message on the RPG Cave, and including my responses to my stupid tutorial of Lumina points on Expedition 33. Buffemon's about to slap me like the Batman slapping Robin's face. You can also follow me on Backlogs at Bland Explosion. I need to put my Blueprints review out there, so I'll do that momentarily. It's a great game. It's probably one of my game of years, Ryan. Could be.
Nice.
I want to go back and wrap it up. It's really good. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice. Well, as for me, you can always find me in the Discord at Ryan Turford. You can also find me on backlog.com as Ryan Turford. There's nothing new there other than I put Golden Axe 2 up there, but I haven't really played too many games this week. I watched a lot of movies, which reminds me, Garrett, I made a Letterboxd account, finally. After people in the Discord asked me to do that. Over on Letterboxd, it's just Ryan Turford. In fact, fun fact, I already had a Letterboxd account. I just forgot about it. I made it like 2 years ago and just totally forgot about it. Because I had added Sean and Seth and no one else. Like 2 years ago. In fact, you can go over there and see such wonderful reviews, Garrett, of such wonderful movies as Screamers the Hunting, Fear.com, and Zombievers. So if you want to see me talk about weird movies, I guess go over to Letterboxd.
That's a set of movies.
And follow me at Ryan Turford. Also, I put up that Final Destination Bloodlines, which I watched, but I'm not going to put my review on there until the podcast posts on Monday about it.
Sounds good.
Because I don't want to spoil people on how I feel about it just now.
Okay.
I like the movie a lot, though. Also, Garrett, of course, people do not touch that dial. If you're watching on twitch.tv/carpoolgaming live right now, please make sure to continue to stay on because we will have more Switch 1 play we're going to say goodbye to Switch 1, of course. So make sure to stick around for that. Until next time, friends, I'm Ryan Turford. That's Garrett Bland. This is the RPG Cave, level 183, and we're out.
Bye-bye.